Hello students, this is lecture number 2 in biology. In the previous lecture, I was telling you about the syllabus related to first year biology. In first year biology, you will be learning about 5 units. And there are 22 chapters, I told you. Yesterday I explained you about 4 units as an outline. Today we will see about the 5th unit. So unit number 5 we are going to discuss it. An outline of unit number 5 I am going to discuss. Unit number 4 was related to plant physiology, you may be remembering. Unit number 5 is related to human physiology, recall this point. So in unit 5, we will be seeing about human physiology. Yesterday I told you about what is called physiology. The word physiology refers to functional aspects of our body. The functional aspects performed by human body will be known as human physiology, whereas the functional aspect performed by plants, that will be called as plant physiology. Remember this point. 1 minute. In human physiology, in 10th standard, whatever you studied about life processes of human body, the same thing you are going to repeat in the PUC first year also, but it will be with some elaboration. So a detailed life process lesson you will be studying in human physiology actually. Here there are 7 chapters. There are 7 chapters included under this unit number 5. Yesterday or in the previous class I told you about 15 chapters regarding diversity in living world, you may be remembering. Structural organization in plant and animals, you may recall. Then we have seen about cell biology also. Then 4th unit was regarding plant physiology. 5th unit is regarding the human physiology, in which there are 7 chapters. So let me tell it as 16th chapter in continuity actually. The 16th chapter in human, in the first year biology is regarding digestion and absorption of nutrients. So digestion and absorption of nutrients will be the first chapter you will be studying in human physiology. In SSLC itself you heard about the word digestion. During digestion, what we do means we convert complex food material into simple food material. We convert insoluble nutrient into soluble nutrient. Non-absorbable nutrient will be converted into absorbable nutrient. So, during digestion, the complex food material, insoluble food material and non-absorbable nutrient, they will be converted into simple, soluble and non-absorbable nutrient it will become. The process of conversion of complex, insoluble, non-absorbable food into simple, soluble and absorbable nutrient is called as absorbable nutrient. That process is called as digestion, we can say. Why we must do them into simple, soluble and this one means then only we can take them to the tissues. There are special system available for digestion. that is called a digestive system. You have heard about alimentary canal of the human body and what are the parts present in the alimentary canal. This alimentary canal will be responsible for performing the digestion. Whatever simple nutrients, soluble nutrients are present in our alimentary canal, that will be absorbed by villi present in our intestine. You might be remembering the small intestine is a part of our alimentary canal. There we have finger-like projections called villi. Through the villi, the nutrients will be absorbed. That is called the first lesson or first chapter in human physiology. Digestion and absorption we can see. Next to this, I am not telling about a detailed study of these chapters. We are just going about the outline only. Second one is known as breathing. Okay, it is related to breathing and exchange of gases we can say here. Breathing and exchange of gases, that become the second chapter in human physiology. You know, we are human bodies are performing the breathing also. It is nothing but respiration we can say. During breathing, we take the atmospheric air inside, and from the atmospheric air we will take only the oxygen. You know, in our blood we contain hemoglobin. That hemoglobin has got affinity towards oxygen, so that it will become oxyhemoglobin, and that oxygen will be supplied throughout the body through that hemoglobin only. So why do we breathe? Means it is to supply the oxygen to various parts of our body. Since we cannot supply oxygen directly to our tissues, we have to supply oxygen through the respiratory system and the circulatory system. Remember this point. So breathing and the exchange of gases. Exchange in the sense we take oxygen, give out carbon dioxide. For this process, life process, we have a separate system in our body. You may recall about respiratory system, where nostrils, pharynx, trachea, lungs, like that various parts are present here. Third chapter or 18th chapter in your syllabus is related to circulation. You have to remember here. Circulation. Circulation is responsible for transport of substances. Remember this. Transport of substances. Various substances must be transported in our body. For example, our thyroid gland produces some hormone. Adrenal gland produces some hormone. Pancreas produces some hormone. These hormones should be distributed to various parts of the body. Who will distribute it means that is through the circulation only. Similarly, I told you oxygen should be supplied to various parts of our body. Oxygen should be given to mitochondria. Then only in the mitochondria that oxygen will react with which one? Glucose, and produce the energy. So who will supply that oxygen from the lungs to the tissues means again we are depending upon circulatory system only. So any kind of nutrient should be supplied from digestive system to various tissues. So nutrient, hormone, gases, not only this one. By using this raw materials, we will undergo metabolism. Due to metabolism, we may produce excretory product, metabolic waste, like nitrogenous waste, like urea, ammonia, we will produce. Those nitrogenous waste must be eliminated from the body. So from the tissues, nitrogenous waste material must be taken to the kidney. So who will do that work? Again, circulatory system. So circulatory system is playing an important role in the transport of substances. It may be the transport of oxygen, carbon dioxide. It may be the hormones. It may be transport of waste materials, transport of glucose, proteins, amino acid like that, or lipid like that. Various substances must be transported. For that, which system, which process we perform, that is called circulation, another life process. For this, we have circulatory system. Circulatory system consists of heart, blood vessels, blood like that. You may be recalling in blood vessel, artery, vein like that, various parts you have studied. About that, detailed study we will be making in the 18th chapter. Let me come to the 19th chapter here, okay, or 4th chapter in the human physiology. The 19th chapter will be excretion and elimination of waste material, we can say. Just now I told you about elimination of waste. Remember one point, here we are talking about metabolic waste mainly. We are not talking about digestive waste. During digestion also we produce waste. That is called undigested waste, it can be called. That undigested waste, that will be sent out through the anus of our body. But how to eliminate metabolic waste, we have to know. For removing the metabolic waste, metabolism, I told you yesterday, the sum total of various biochemical reactions happening in our body. Due to that various biochemical reactions, we produce waste material. We have to remove that waste material from the body. That waste material will be removed through a process called excretion. For the sake of excretion, we have a main organ in our body. That is called kidney. So in kidney, we are filtering the waste from the blood. Then it will be eliminated out in the form of urine. That metabolic waste removal is different. Undigested waste removal is different. This is called egestion. Remember the word egestion. In egestion, we remove the undigested waste. But in excretion, we remove the metabolic waste. That is the main point. Kidney is involved in excretion. Ureter is involved in excretion. Urinary bladder is there. Urethra is there. These parts are becoming our excretory system. Remember, about that, we will be studying one part here, detailed structure. Even in excretion chapter only, you might have heard about nephrons also. About that nephron, structure of nephron, filtration of blood, urine formation, everything you will be studying in this excretory system actually. The next chapter, 20th chapter in first year syllabus or the 5th chapter in human physiology is based on locomotion. Remember, it is about locomotion and movement, we can see. Remember students, as a human beings or as a part of what is that animal kingdom, we are exhibiting a unique phenomenon called movement and locomotion. Movement refers to the whole body will move from one place to another place, either by walking or by running like that, as far as human body is concerned. Birds will fly, fishes will swim, that is different. Here, for performing that movement as well as locomotion, movement of any body part, we can say, locomotion refers to moving from place to place, whereas movement refers to moving of our hand, moving of our jaw bones, eyelid, these things we can say. For all these movement and locomotion, whether it is within the body or in the environment, that is done by two important parts of our body. One is called our muscular system, another one is called as our skeletal system. About the bones present in our body, you will be studying about a complete human skeleton in this lesson. As well as you will be studying about different type of muscles present in our body. In lower classes you might have heard about striated muscle or striped muscle. Smooth muscle you might have heard. Cardiac muscle you might have heard. These three types of muscle, how the muscles are undergoing contraction, how do they relax, every point we will be studying in locomotion and movement also. There is a next chapter in what is that, human physiology. that will be related to our nervous system. Remember, in the previous class I told you this point also. Irritability is one of the important function of living things. Responding to the stimulus is called irritability. Responding to the external stimulus or internal stimulus, that is called irritability. For performing this irritability, we need a nervous system. You know that the brain is the main organ involved in our nervous system. Spinal cord, we are telling. It is located within the backbone. So that brain and spinal cord. Different nerves arising from brain, different nerves arising from spinal cord, they all together constitute a nervous system of the human body. This nervous system, what the function it does means irritability. This nervous system is connected to our sense organs like eyes, ear, nose, tongue, even skin, like that. Whatever stimulus we perceive through that sense organ, that will be relayed to the brain, and the brain will be responding to that stimulus. When you see a pickle, you are producing saliva, means it is a irritability, you are responding to that stimulus. That response to the stimulus is done by nervous system. Here you will be studying about structure of neuron. Remember, in excretion chapter, structure of nephron you have studied. In a nervous system, you will be studying about structure of neuron. How that neuron will be responsible for conducting the impulses. That point we will be dealing here. As a last thing here, 22nd chapter to complete this syllabus is related to chemical coordination, I can say here. Okay? Chemical coordination. In this lesson called chemical coordination, we will be dealing with different types of hormones and endocrine glands of our body. You may be knowing about endocrine glands. Different type of endocrine glands are present in our body. It may be a pineal gland present just below the brain, or it may be thyroid gland present in our neck region, or it may be a thymus gland located in our chest, and there will be pancreas, there will be adrenal gland. Like that, various type of glands are located in our body, including our testis and ovary. They secrete some hormones. So hormones secreted by the endocrine system, and how that hormones are acting like chemical messengers, that we will be studying in this lesson. So that is called chemical coordination. Remember students, it is completely about your lesson called life processes, which you studied in the 10th standard. But what is the point here means, in PUC first year level, those life process lesson will be detailed manner, it will be studied. It will be studied in detail completely, namely in the form of digestion and absorption, breathing and exchange of gases, circulation and transport of substances, excretion and elimination of waste, locomotion and movement, neural system or nervous system, then chemical coordination. Totally 22 chapters I gave you the outline, and 5 units we gave you the outline of your syllabus. So this is the syllabus outline. We will be studying about one by one chapter. Today I am going to start with a new chapter here. Okay, one among them, the 5th chapter I am going to start, that is called morphology in flowering plants. Let us come to the morphology in flowering plants. Before that, I will give you half a minute time. Make note if you want to do anything. Okay? Please write it in your notebook. Okay, students, let me continue. So far, just we have seen some outline related to first year biology chapter. Okay. There are 22 chapters which we have given you some outline. Maybe due to this COVID-19 lockdown, colleges are not started in the right time. There may be some delay in the starting or reopening of the college. Government may decide to reduce some syllabus or reduce some chapters also. We do not know which chapter will be reduced till now. Anyhow, we are not starting with the first 4 lessons. Let us start with the 5th lesson in this case, which is known as morphology of flowering plants. I am starting with the 5th chapter, not directly from living world like that. If at all time permits, we will see them later. We will start with chapter number 5 in botany, I can say, that is related to morphology of flowering plants. We are going to discuss here. Morphology of flowering plants I am going to discuss. In the previous lecture itself, I told you what is called morphology. It is the branch of biology which deals with the study of external features of plants and animals. External features. External feature means the characters which could be observed directly by our eyes. Directly appearing features are called external features. Study about those external features is called morphology. You know about flowering plants. The plants which produce flower are called flowering plants. You must know why plants should produce flower. Flowers are the reproductive organs produced by these flowering plants. Why they produce flower means that is for reproduction. You may be recalling in a flower there will be anther, androecium and gynoecium like that. They will be producing reproductive cells which will fuse by fertilization and they will produce the zygote. So, flowering plants produce the flower for the sake of reproduction. Flowers are the organs of reproduction. Please remember this point. Those flowering plants will be called as angiosperms, we can say. Remember the terminology called angiosperm. Angiosperm refers to flowering plants. Why they are called angiosperm, we will see later at the end of this lesson. So what is morphology of flowering plant means? It is the study of external features of angiosperm, we can say. Any typical plant you imagine any typical flowering plant. It will be containing various morphological or external features in it. Just to recall this point, a typical morphological, otherwise what is that, angiosperm may contain some parts like this. It will be having a root system like this below the soil. It will be having a stem above the soil. Above the soil there will be stem located here. This stem may bear some parts also which will be known as leaves like this. You may recall leaves are involved in photosynthesis. They are green in color, they contain chloroplast, chlorophyll pigment in it. They will absorb sunlight and undergo photosynthesis. In addition to this leaf and this plant will produce flowers also. So there will be different parts present in a typical angiosperm. Roots are there, stem is there, leaf is there, flowers are there. That flower will produce a fruit, that fruit will produce seed, like that various parts are there. About those parts, we are going to study in the morphology of angiosperm. So what are the parts of external features of angiosperm? Parts of a typical angiosperm. Typical in the sense, what is that? A best example angiosperm, a normal angiosperm, I can say here. The first part of an angiosperm is called as root system, otherwise root. We are going to study detailed account of this root system in this lesson. Second part will be known as stem of the plant. You have to remember. STEM. It is not STEAM. Stem. Okay. This is stem of the plant in the angiosperm we will be studying. In addition to that, you will be studying about the leaf of the angiosperm also. The structure of leaf, parts of a leaf, like the stalk of the leaf is called petiole. Its lamina, broader portion. Then it will be having veins and all. Arrangement of the leaf on the stem. Different plants have got different arrangement. That is called phyllotaxy. Like that, various parts or aspects of the leaf you will be studying in this lesson. In addition to root, stem and the leaf, there will be some more parts like flower also present in an angiosperm. So a typical flower you can take and you can study about the structure of flower. It will be having calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, like you may be remembering, and how they are arranged, where they are arranged, what is the role of each flower part, everything we will be studying here. That is called flower. In some of the angiosperms, flowers are produced in groups also. For example, jasmine and all, if you see, means they produce three flowers in a group actually. Even there are many, hibiscus is produced in single, but there are gulmohar and jasmine and all, if you see, means they are produced in groups actually. That group of flowers, cluster of flowers, that will be known as inflorescence, we can say. Remember this word, inflorescence. So inflorescence refers to natural grouping of flower. There are two major types of inflorescence. About them and all you will be studying here. Not only about a flower, even about the group of flowers you are going to study in this case. After this, you will be studying about fruits of this, what is that, angiosperm also. Flower is the reproductive part, I told you. After reproduction, after completing reproduction, the flower will be losing some of its part and the remaining part will become the fruit. The ovary of the flower will become the fruit actually. About the structure of fruit we are going to study in this lesson. Some fruits are dry in nature. Some fruits are what is that, fleshy in nature. About them and the fruit we will be studying in the morphology of flowering plant. Not only this one, inside the fruit an angiosperm will contain seed also. Bija tantivalla, that seed is also present inside the fruit. About that seed also you will be studying. You might have heard about dicot and monocot. That dicotyledonous seed, monocotyledonous seed, that difference you will be learning here. So remember, majorly when you see the external features, how many parts of a typical flower, typical angiosperm you can get, means around 7 parts you can get. What are they? Roots are there, stem is there, leaves are there, flowers are there, inflorescence, fruit, seed, like that. Around 7 morphological features, external features you can observe in a angiosperm actually. About each and everything we are going to deal in this lesson. Not only about the 7 parts, even after studying about them, there is an 8th aspect in this lesson also, morphology of flowering plant. What does that mean, sir? You will be studying about different terminologies to describe a family of the plant. Otherwise, to describe a plant, what are the different terminologies we will be using, and angiosperm families you will be studying here. Families refers to what is that? Kingdom, division, order and family. That taxonomical unit is called family. A group of similar plants, similar plants exhibiting some general characters, they will be included under families actually. You may be remembering there will be species, then genus, okay, then what is that? Family, like that. So a group of genus will become a family. Group of families will become an order. Here in PUC first year level, you will be studying about 3 families related to angiosperm. Malvaceae, like that. Solanaceae, like that. There are different families, okay, Liliaceae. In this way, 3 important families, including Leguminosae, pulse family, like that. In detail, we will see later. Those families of angiosperm also you will be studying here. So, what are the points in a morphology? What parts you can see in a flowering plant? Root we can see, stem we can see, leaf is there, flower is there, inflorescence, fruit, seed, like that. Apart from that, you will be studying about families of angiosperm, some of the families. There are many families, hundreds of families included under angiosperm. Among them, you will be studying only 3 of them we will be studying in this lesson. So, this is the outline of morphology of flowering plant. Around 5 marks, we can expect questions from this lesson, even in the board exam, annual exam, like that. There may be 1 mark questions, for 2 mark questions, like that. So, this is an outline. Now, I am going to start with the root system of a plant. Some general characters and other things I will explain you related to the root system. Just make note at this point to half a minute. Okay, students, the study of external features of a plant will be known as morphology. Study of external features of animal will also be called as morphology only. In your syllabus, we will be studying about the morphology of flowering plant as a separate chapter. So that is chapter number 5. In the morphology, when you observe a flowering, typical flowering plant, you will come across 7 parts I told you. The first part is about the root. So here I am going to discuss about the root system of the plant. Now we will see about some general characters of the root. General character. General character means, what is the meaning? There will be some exceptions. Let us not bother about exceptions in the beginning. First we will study about general characters of the root only. Remember, the first point is generally the root will be underground part of the plant body, we can see. It refers to underground part of the plant body. Root means generally it is an underground part of the plant body. Because of that underground nature, that means below the soil. Underground means, what is the meaning? Below the soil. Because of that, it can be otherwise called as subterranean part also. Subterranean part also it can be called. So, which is the subterranean part of the plant means that is the root system. Remember. Second point, second general character you can remember is the roots are generally brown in color. They are brown in color generally. The stem will be usually, what is that? Green in color. But a root which is present below the soil will be generally brown in color. There may be some exceptions. I am talking about general characters only. Third point you can remember is, a root, it cannot be differentiated into nodes, internodes, leaves like that. Any part will not be present. So, the root will be having absence of nodes, internodes, internodes and leaves or flower, they all will not be present in the root system. But in stem there will be nodes, internodes. We will discuss about it later. Such parts will be present in the stem, but in the root it is not present. So absence of nodes, internodes and leaves, even flowers also, they are not present. When we come to another point, important point here is, generally in all angiosperm, roots will originate from radicle of the seed. Roots will originate from radicle of the seed. Remember this point. So, seeds will germinate. When the seed is germinating, imagine this is the seed of a typical plant beans. When the seed is germinating, it will produce an embryonic axis like this. A part will be produced like this. In this, the lower tip is called as radicle, we are telling. Remember the spelling here, R-A-D-I-C-L-E. It is not a radical. R-A-D-I-C-A-L is not, you should not write. This radical indicates your acid radical or basic radical in chemistry. Here it is radical of the seed. So from the radical only, generally the root will arise. There may be some root which will be arising from other parts. But I am talking about general characters of the root. So it will originate from the radical of the seed mainly. Do you get my point? Next thing is, this root will have generally branches also. Below the soil, they will be exhibiting some branches also. Those branches will be called as primary root, a secondary root like that. Or a branch will be arising completely also, basically. That is branched system. So remember, 5 general characters of the root I told you so far. What are they? Underground part or subterranean part of the plant body. It is brown in color generally. It is having no nodes, internodes and leaves. Absence of node, internode and leaves will be there. They originate from the radicle of the seed. That is the main point. And they will be generally branched also. These are the general characters of the root. Now let us see one point. Why plant should produce the root? What is the purpose of root in the plant body? Why they should produce the root, we will see. First point I told you is about general characters. Now I am going to tell you about functions of the root. Very simple point, 2 more questions can be asked. Functions of the root system or functions of the root, main functions we will be seeing here. I told you 5 general characters. Secondly, you must learn about different functions of the root. Why plant should have root? What is the purpose of root in the plant body? Please remember, the first and main function here is fixation of the plant body into the soil. Fixation of plant into the soil is the first point we can say. Imagine a plant without root system. A plant will be having root system below the soil, then only it can fix firmly into the soil. Otherwise a stem cannot stand for that. You know that there are many plants which will stand erect for hundreds of years, 200 years like that. How is it possible? Because of the firm root system. So the root system is responsible for fixation of plant into the soil. This function, it is otherwise known as anchorage. We can say anchorage. Anchoring the plant means holding the plant into the soil. So the plant is firmly held in the soil because of the root system. That is the main function, we can say. Second function of the root system is absorption of water and minerals from the soil. Absorption of water and minerals from the soil. So remember, when the plant has to survive, it has to absorb water from the soil. So there must be absorption of water. Along with water, there must be what is that? Mineral absorption also. What are minerals? Calcium, magnesium, potassium, like that various minerals are there. They must be absorbed by the root system. This absorption of water and minerals that become the second important point of the root system. So roots are not only holding the plant, but they are also helpful for absorbing the water and minerals. Thirdly, third point we can remember here is the root system or roots will be sometimes involved in storage of food also. If more and more foods are produced, food is produced by the leaf system by means of photosynthesis. That extra food will come and get stored in the root only. That is where we are getting some vegetables like carrot and radish and all. That is due to this storage of food. So roots are responsible for storage of food also. And a very important point, another important point we can remember is some of the plant, they will use their root for reproduction purpose also. Asexual reproduction. Roots can be used for asexual reproduction or otherwise vegetative propagation we are telling. So roots will undergo some modification. They will be involved in the production of new plant also. About them, detailed study we will see later. In this class, I told you, I started with morphology of flowering plants. Flowering plants are otherwise called what? Angiosperms. In angiosperms, there are 7 important morphological parts we have discussed. Among them, the first one is about root. In the root, I told you 2 mark question called general characters of the root. How many points are there? 5 points are there. Please remember those points. Then I told you about functions of the root in the angiosperm. There are 4 points which can also be asked in a 2 mark question. Very important, it fixes the plant into the soil. It absorbs water and mineral. It stores the food and it is involved in asexual reproduction also. Okay, so let me complete this class, today's class. Now here we will continue about the root system in the later class. Thank you.